we're so pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Austin Saints down there in beautiful Austin, Texas. We're joined by Coach Taylor Stewart. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Excellent. How are things in beautiful Austin, Texas?
They're hot, but like you said, beautiful Austin, Texas, so we can't complain.
I want to ask you, because you are in a very unique position down there in Austin. You are taking over a squad that is kind of the sum of a couple of different teams' parts. Two longtime rivals, Austin St. Andrews and Austin St. Stephen's, made the decision to combine their football programs for the next 2 years. I'm really interested in what that transition has been like. You were the head coach at St. Andrews. Now you're going to be the head coach of this combined team. What has that transition been like for you?
It's been really very easy. For a little backdrop, I started my coaching career at St. Stephen's, as a matter of fact. So I was there from 2003 to 2009 and have a great relationship with a number of people in that community. And so the transition's been very easy for me. It's been a matter of getting the kids and the families to buy into the concept, and they have done that beautifully. So it's been very, very easy.
What kind of challenges have you faced with this? Because I think that if you took two programs that again have been kind of longtime rivals, you guys have wanted to go out there and beat the other one. What kind of challenges have you come across that maybe you didn't expect, or has it been relatively smooth sailing?
It's been very smooth sailing. I mean, ultimately, when we start talking about the kids, they recognize the downtrend in participation across the country. They recognize in particular the downtrend in participation at prep schools like ours. And so ultimately they just want the experience of playing competitive football, and willing to do anything was kind of the mentality that they started with. And that has burgeoned into a beautiful relationship and guys that actually genuinely like each other. We did an overnight camp at the beginning of August on St. Stephen's campus. They're a boarding and day school. We were fortunate enough to use their dormitories and practiced there, ate there, did everything there for a week long, and that was an incredible bonding experience. And those guys came out of it, again, like I said, really genuinely liking one another as opposed to just kind of doing it to compete. And so that aspect's been great. The most difficult part, in all honesty, is the logistics of two campuses and getting equipment and kids to and from and so on and so forth. But I feel like we've figured out a pretty good system for that, and so far it's been smooth sailing.
You mentioned the participation rates have kind of dwindled at both schools. I know that St. Stephen's had just 23 varsity football players last year, no sub-varsity team, 10 sophomores. I'm interested, have you felt a little bit, now that these two teams have come together and the numbers are a little bit better, have you felt a lift and a boost in these players' attitudes going forward now that there's just literally more of them around?
Sure. I can't really speak to the feel of what it was like at what we would now refer to as North Campus. That's St. Stephen's, and we're South Campus here at St. Andrews. I can't honestly speak to the feel that they've had over the last couple of years. I can talk to our guys, and the reality of it is the attitude and effort was never a question. I think that they certainly recognize the daunting task of playing with 25-ish type guys, 10, 12 freshmen at times, recognizing that means that we're going to be leaning on, 14 or 15 upperclassmen and I say upperclassmen including sophomores, to do the bulk of the work, playing both ways in a very competitive private school conference here in the Southwest Preparatory Conference. And so, the attitude and effort was always there. It's just that they recognize that in 2.5 quarters into a game, they're going to run out of gas and so on and so forth. So when we came together in the spring, there was definitely a moment when the South Campus kids first stepped onto the practice field, and the North Campus kids just started clapping, hooting, and hollering because they recognized we've actually got a chance now to go compete, as opposed to playing Ironman football and in less than desirable environments and so on and so forth. So it's just the overall feel has been fantastic. So yes, I can say that there is more of a pep in the step because they feel like there's an opportunity to compete, though attitude and effort was never an issue, certainly not here with the St. Andrews contingent.
We're talking with Taylor Stewart, the head coach of Austin Saints down there in the Austin area here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. Coach, there's another element to this, and that's kind of a schematic element to this. Now, all of a sudden, you're taking two teams that were playing 11-man football in the best way that they could, and now you're taking that same talent and combining it into one. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of difference in what the playbook looks like. Has there been how has the transition gone from kind of for essentially half of your players learning a new way of doing things?
Sure, 100% buy-in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they recognize that with a little tender loving care, that we're going to do everything we can to put them in the best position to succeed. So the buy-in's been there from day one, both on offensive and defensive sides of the ball, as well as in special teams, and so that part's been really easy. The spring certainly helped to get these guys initiated, but even then, as I'm sure most coaches do every off season, I kind of go through and tweak things. Right, this worked really well, this didn't. We change a call here or there. So even in that regard, some of the verbiage and even some of the schemes that we're trying to implement would even have been new to the South Campus kids. So it's been a no-brainer in so many ways because there's more familiarity certainly from the South Campus guys with the systems. They've been great leaders in helping coach up some of those North Campus kids to the point now where we're pretty split as far as who's playing where and how and so on and so forth. So it's been very, very smooth.
You've been the head coach there at St. Andrews since 2016, entering your third year as the head coach now of this combined program. Before that, you were the defensive coordinator for the former head coach there at St. Andrews, Ty Detmer, who went to become the offensive coordinator at BYU. I'm really interested to, I think coaches tend to be kind of a combination of all of the guys that they coach with. What did you take from your 6 years working with Ty Detmer? How has that helped to make you the coach you are today?
Oh, sure. For one, the word that you just used, with, is absolutely accurate with Ty. I mean, I never felt like I worked for him, and that was incredibly beneficial to our relationship and the way the program ran under his guidance. I always felt like I had a mentor and a friend, somebody I could bounce things off of. As far as my coaching style was concerned, I think that what I picked up, I was forced to become a better football coach working with him simply because of the West Coast concepts that he was so comfortable with from his years in the NFL and certainly at BYU. A lot of the passing concepts in particular, spot dropping, country cover 3 as I call it, wasn't going to work in defending some of the schemes that he was running. So I had to really evolve into a deeper understanding of things that we could do on the defensive side of the ball. And as such, it certainly made me a better coach. And then from a human standpoint, just his demeanor, how he handled the guys, and typically defensive coordinators tend to be intense people and so on and so forth. So I maintained that aspect of my personality while he was still here. But once I rolled into the head coaching role, I saw that there has to be a completely different approach to how you handle, everybody in the big picture having a 10,000-foot view as opposed to a 10-foot view. And so seeing him and his demeanor and interactions with parents and players and so on and so forth was certainly a great model to try to implement, certainly in my own way.
We're talking with Taylor Stewart, the head coach of the Austin Saints here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. And, Coach, finally, you guys open up Friday night. Under those Friday night lights, heading to New Waverly to take on that squad. For you, going through what you guys have been through the last couple of years, when you guys run out there on the field on Friday night, what do you think that's going to feel like?
I think it's going to feel real great. I think that our guys have had such an incredible, spring, summer, and now preseason that they're just ready to go compete at a high level. And our first 2 scrimmages showed that we can do that. And I think it's just going to be one of those. It's going to be the kind of culminating event of all this talk and build up since last October when the announcement was initially made, finally coming to fruition in uniforms and Friday Night Lights and the whole nine. So I'm imagining that it's going to be an incredibly exciting experience. And win, lose, or draw, the success that I feel like we've already drawn from just the team building aspect and guys putting aside any kind of childish, if you will, rivalry for something that's a much greater good, certainly for both communities, and seeing that we can actually work together as opposed to against one another. It's been fantastic. So, again, I think it's going to be a culminating event of the dawning of a new era of football, as we may see it occur across the country with schools that are struggling with participation rates.
It's an exciting time down there in Austin for the Austin Saints with their head coach, Taylor Stewart. Coach, really appreciate your time. Best of luck on Friday night and down the road.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Greg.
There he goes, Taylor Stewart, head coach, Austin Saints. It's an interesting story, and I do wonder, especially at the private school ranks, if you're going to see that more and more.
Start consolidating a little bit more. So,
yeah, you think about this is not a necessarily new situation,
right?
That, like, we've seen. There's a reason that there are programs that are called consolidated. You know what I mean? Like, they consolidate schools for one reason or another. So this is interesting.
In Beaumont, I believe, this year too.
So. Yeah, it happened in Beaumont. They closed
Ozan
and Central to combine it into Beaumont United. So it'll be very interesting. We're very excited to see what they do in 2018. Appreciate Coach Taylor Stewart hopping on with us, chat a little bit of SPC football.